Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. I am joined today by Andrea, Jamie, and Donna.
Hey.
We have a big show today. We have a guest, Rick Gates. He is the former deputy campaign chair for President Trump. An amazing gentleman. He has all kinds of knowledge, and he's going to help share what happened last night and how important it is to our country. And then later in the show, we're going to have the Hoversons on because there's a couple rallies that are coming up right here in the North Dakota area that you guys all need to attend if we want to get this country back. But first of all, Rick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, last night was a pretty big deal. So why don't you kind of tell us the DC side of it? What happened last night?
Absolutely. It was an epic night for Republicans, one that was badly needed after the first 10 months of Joe Biden's administration. But, look, there are two races. This is an off-year election year. New Jersey and Virginia have major races. There's, a host of mayor's races and other local races, down ballot. But these are the two that everybody is watching for. And generally, they're considered litmus tests for the incumbent president. And about 9 months ago, Terry McAuliffe, who was the Democratic nominee in Virginia, was expected to win in a landslide. It didn't look like there were any Republican contenders that could really compete with the amount of money he had, the credibility, the Hollywood star power, and so nobody ever thought to consider that Virginia might win. Lo and behold, Glenn Youngkin, a political outsider who had an incredible vision, a great message, was disciplined, and stayed on top of what he needed to in the campaign, was able to pull away a number of different demographics in Virginia. Virginia used to be a red state, then we went purple, now we're blue. So it was a big night in terms of what Glenn Youngkin was able to do to create that victory. And because of that, it's had a ripple effect, not only in Virginia, but in New Jersey. And then there were some down ballot races that were going Republican ways. So we're very excited about what the prospects of this means for the midterms in 2022, when we really need to take back the House and Senate. That'll ensure that Joe Biden can't do any more damage than he's already done.
Great. So right now with Virginia, 99% of the expected votes are in. When they say 99% of those expected votes, do they mean that because it's an off year it's not a presidential election, that there's only so many people that come forward and vote during that time? Is that what that 99% means?
Well, the 99 means that's all the precincts that have reported, and we have about 2,455 precincts in Virginia. And what happens, and you're going to see this in every state, like New Jersey is having a lag as well. There's in-person voting the day of election, and then there's the absentee mail-in ballots. And those typically come in, they trickle in. They're allowed to be postmarked on election day, but they have to be in by Friday. But the reason they already called the race is because they know how many absentee ballots are out there. And they know that if Terry McAuliffe received 90% of that vote, it still wouldn't make a difference. If it had been closer, they wouldn't have called it. So at this point, we know that there's more absentee ballot coming in. That's why they haven't said 100% is in. But it's irrelevant to the outcome of the election.
Great. So then we have a graphic for the Virginia race. Glenn had 51% and Terry had 49%. But then let's move over to New Jersey governor, because right now they're saying that's too close to call.
Yes, it is. We've been tracking it all day. Unfortunately, this is a great example of that mail-in absentee ballot. So all the in-person voting in New Jersey has been counted, and Citrelli was very close, closer than anybody anticipated. He was down 17 points a little over a month ago, and he's going to probably lose, but lose by about a percentage point. Which is, it validates everything that we believe was happening last night. So the fact that we won Virginia, we took back the House of Delegates in Virginia as well. We won some mayor's races. The New Jersey race is kind of a validation of all that there were issues that were germane to Republican voters in New Jersey, and they came out in mass. It wasn't quite enough to get Citrelli over the top, but it's a referendum on Murphy, and he's going to have a very, very difficult term moving forward.
Speaking of those issues that matter, it mattered in Virginia. I saw some rally signs at the victory party last night that said "Parents for Youngkin," and we're used to seeing like women for candidates or specific demographics, but I've never seen a "Parents for a Candidate" rally sign. What impact did that have?
Oh, massive impact. In fact, I would argue that it in large part gave the win to Glenn Youngkin. He obviously had to campaign a message on it, but the fact that the parental issue with respect to choice for their children in schools became a massive issue for Virginia. We have Loudoun County became the national epicenter, not just for school choice or for parents having involvement in their school, their children's education, but also in critical race theory, vaccine mandates. There's a whole host of issues that kind of have been swelling up. Because we had a race in Virginia, it became the natural battleground. That's why it got so much national attention, and that's why so many people are still talking about it and the impact it had. But the education issue was the most important issue in the Virginia election. And the reason I love pointing this out is because it's the first issue in quite some time, probably since Biden's taken office, that has dissolved political lines. We had Democratic mothers, liberal fathers, Republican fathers and mothers. They were all coming together because what they wanted to see is that their kids were safe in schools and that they were being educated, period. And as soon as Terry McAuliffe wanted to take that choice away, he set the fire off ablaze, and it will now go down as one of the most historic and epic losses by a campaign, because Terry McAuliffe, for all regards, should have won this.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like there's a tsunami of a rejection of the craziness that's happening, I guess, in America right now. And it's the mama bears that are actually raising up and saying, no, you're not going to have my kids. And I think that's really just awesome. Is that kind of, I mean, do you feel like that's what's going to happen in the presidential election coming up in 24 or in everything, I feel like it's moms coming to defend the nation right now.
Definitely, for Republicans or Democrats, they're going to have to court independence. They're going to court moderate moms. The demographics in Virginia are heavily weighted toward women. And I think you're going to see that, in a lot of the key major states. So absolutely. Now, the thing about politics, one day in politics is an eternity. So what we have as an issue today might not be, the issues next year during the midterms. As an example, in New Jersey had slightly different issues than us. The vaccine mandates were a much more pressing issue for New Jersey than education, but they're a much more liberally based state. So they didn't have to kind of fight as aggressively as we did on education in Virginia. But I do think that you're going to see these trends, these issues come across and break, across state lines all over the country. And that's why it got so much national attention.
All right.
I wanted to ask about the lieutenant governor for Virginia. Is that a separate race? Because, like some states, they have the governor run and they have a lieutenant governor run. Was it together, or is she for sure the winner? Well, she's Winsome Sears. I watched some things of her and I thought she was pretty cool. I love her.
Yeah, she's been fantastic. What we have, it's a separate race. But they typically run as a ticket, but everybody has to vote separately. She had a different vote count than Glenn Youngkin, but she is the lieutenant governor-elect, and I couldn't think of a more fantastic person. Having her out there talking about how the Democrats try to make racism one of the major issues. She comes from Jamaican parents. She was a U.S. Marine. She's obviously a Black American, and she has been fantastic to talk about these issues. And if you've watched her in the last 24, 48 hours, that's exactly what she's talking about. She is out there saying, how dare you Democrats try to manipulate the voters into thinking that this race was about racism. It's not. I'm a Black American. I can be a Republican as well. And that's a great sign for Republicans moving forward.